Brain Breaks by Kevin Snyder. So I'll give you a little background into what this problem's about, or what even are we looking at here. So I teach at a high school called Simsbury High School in Connecticut, and on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday we have normal 42-minute classes that are just your normal typical length, but then on Wednesday, Thursday we meet with half of our classes, and they last and they're block periods, so they're 82 minutes long, so that's twice as long. So in a content like math, which is what I teach, we're typically lecturing longer and longer and trying to get through as much content as we possibly can. But it's really tough because our students really struggle to stay on task during that. They start daydreaming, or they're just not as quite into it. And after you ask them a couple questions, they're really not responding with the same energy that they started in class with. So this is where we really go and we add in brain breaks. So one might ask, what is a brain break? Because it sounds like a made up term, really. So a brain break is an activity mixed into a lesson that is a physical or mental break. These can be any length of time and may or may not be related to a lesson itself. So as a teacher, if I'm teaching about derivatives in calculus, maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes after lecturing my students on this topic, I would say, okay guys, we're going to take a brain break right now and post something up on the board, and the students would have a challenge, maybe like a little riddle, or can they rotate one hand clockwise while rotating the other one counterclockwise. Anything like that would be a brain break that we can incorporate into our classes. So after doing some research, these are some of the activities that I found that are very helpful. So mindfulness is one, which could be anything from just positively talking, or just stretching, anything of that nature can really be related to mindfulness. Puzzles or riddles. And then the physical side of it, you could have recess. Yoga really ties into mindfulness too on that end, but that's a good one. Or you could do jumping jacks or push-ups or any little exercise like that. Or even just sitting on stability balls for a lengthy period of time is actually shown to increase some focus. So throughout all of this research here that I've done, the one big constant is that we've seen, even from elementary the whole way up to high school students, their test scores are increasing, on not just in the classroom but on statewide tests. There's a grade 3 math exam in Minnesota that showed that both physical activity and stability balls both increased their test scores, as well as other studies that just showed that students are increasing their overall scores. We're also seeing that there's a decrease in transition time, which means, so when a teacher wants to switch from one activity to the next, these brain breaks are helping because they're back on track. They know they have to refocus, and it's just a quicker time in between them. And then it also helps students with any type of exceptionality, or like ADHD or autism. It really helps their behavior improve too. So some benefits that exercise specifically has, that I found that it does help those students, again, with those special needs. It also increases or decreases that transition time. And then finally, teachers have actually stated in these reports that they're writing fewer referrals and write-ups because the students are behaving better in class, which is decreasing student or teacher work, as well as students getting in trouble, which is always a good thing. Now, this was my last essential question, and this one I was kind of varying the results. It wasn't always sure. So the mental break that I found, that anytime they were doing that, they really wanted to find it so it was under 10 minutes. It didn't matter if it was 3 or 10, but they wanted it under that 10-minute spot. Now, with physical breaks, we actually see that it could be different. With older students, I found that mostly it was like 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes up to 15, but with those, they more tried to do like the jumping jacks or walk around the room. Little things like that were used, or mindfulness tricks were used, and that kind of fits into that 5 to 10 minute spot. For the elementary students, recess is the big thing there, and it really shows that students of elementary age, kind of that K through 5 or K through 6, really need over 15 minutes of just actively running around, taking that break, and then when they come back, they're recharged and ready to go. So what's next? What do we want to look for? Overall, the conclusion is that teachers need to incorporate these brain breaks in their classes. But I think the next thing that we need to investigate is, what are the best ones? Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it a combination? Is it just using mindfulness? Anything like that is really the key when we're looking with what we should do next. And then also discovering, once you figure out which activities are the best, and then see how long should those last, and then maybe also looking into, well, is it different activities for different student or different age students? So maybe what's best for elementary isn't best with the high school age students. Here are the resources if you want to take a look at those. The 7 sources that I used to conduct this literary review.